Okay, so welcome back. This is our second video together. This is Holistic Way with M and K.
I'm Maggie.
Maggie, I'm Keith. And this video is going to be about, what did we say we were going to call it?
Where you are is exactly where you need to be.
Yeah.
And it's kind of just, we were just talking about this topic in the car earlier, and we thought that it might be something worth sharing.
Yeah, it is something worth sharing. It's an important topic, but so we have a lot of good conversations in the car, which maybe in the future we'll just start to record in the moment. Yeah, but part of what we were talking about, we were reflecting on what we were talking about being an instance where it just shows how trusting where you are is so important.
Yeah. And we were talking about just a perspective shift, really, because I feel like we used to focus a lot on the outcome. At least I can speak for myself, I just used to focus on this end product of something or anything, and it's common in our society, to just be really focused on the outcome and miss the whole process. And there's all kinds of quotes about it, like life is about the journey, or it's about the journey, not the outcome, or whatever. But it's just so true, because every little step, every little piece of the journey, every little piece of getting to that outcome, to that end goal, is just as important and just as valuable as the outcome itself. And it's just really cool to see that concept play out in so many areas of our life. And then we were sitting in the car and we were just in awe, because those instances, when you can sit back, when you've reached that end goal, when you've kind of let go of that and just trusted where you are is exactly where you need to be, everything plays out so beautifully. And then you sit there at that end goal or whatever, that outcome, and you're just wow, this process is literally proof that I'm always exactly where I need to be.
Yeah, and it's such a healthy state of mind to have, because you're never going to be anywhere other than where you are. And learning to trust that it's exactly where you need to be not only is just a good mindset to have either way, but it helps you to remain open to what's happening, not close off, not get depressed, not think that things are wrong, not think that things should be different or should be better. And there's I think it's important to understand, it's been important for me to kind of learn and understand that with what we were talking about in particular, we were talking about how just something that we had talked about a couple years ago, and that we had both had similar desires about years ago, we had kind of let go of, thinking that maybe it wasn't the right thing or it wasn't going to happen, and now it's all coming together naturally and very seamlessly, in a way that we could have never thought that or predicted in the past. And it just makes you realize, it makes me realize, it's another solid reminder of the fact that sometimes we need to aim at something. We need to have something in mind of where we would like to be, what would be better, what we want to set our sights on and move toward. But then trust that it doesn't always come together right away. A lot of times it doesn't, a lot of times it takes time. But the way that it comes together is often, it's not about understanding how it will, it's just about setting our sights on something and trusting that it will, and also trusting that if it doesn't, something better will happen, or that it wasn't meant to be. And a lot of times things aren't meant to be, not just in the sense that we don't deserve them or that they can't happen, but that along the journey of saying we want to be over here, we set our sights on something in the future, a lot of times in between the time in between now and getting there, we may realize that either we want to change that a little bit, our vision change, our desires change, So it's important to have our sights set on something, but also be open to A, it changing a little bit, and B, not being stuck on how we're going to get there.
I think not getting stuck on how we're going to get there is really important, because what we've learned in our relationship is that things don't always go as expected. You know, like where we are in our life currently, we could have never imagined to be in this place like 3 years, even 6 months ago. You know, like we didn't plan for things to happen the way they've happened, but they've happened so perfectly and so beautifully because we've been present, you know, and we've been okay with exactly where we have been all along the journey, just knowing that that's exactly where we need to be, and it's the best place to be, because that's the only place you're ever gonna be.
Yeah.
But it's just something that, like, I feel like has been such a learning curve, is just because I still have moments where I'm like, I'm not supposed to be here, like things need to change, something needs to be different, like this isn't where I need to be. And then it's just very humbling to like come back to that trusting place. It's like, okay, if I wasn't supposed to be here, then I wouldn't be here, you know, and just trusting that it's all part of the process.
Yeah.
And it's all like a really important step. And like what Keith was saying is, you know, we had this vision when we first got together and we kind of let it go. And now it's kind of come back in our sphere, but
in a more matured way.
Yeah, we would have never gotten to where we are if we hadn't experienced any of the other stuff that we had along the way, like letting it go and, you know, changing our course in our minds, you know, like we were changing our course, but we've just come back to this place. It's just really awesome to see, to experience, and to be able to like step back and be like, wow, like this, like things are really coming together, and we really need to trust that.
Yeah, and it's another thing we were mentioning or talking about too earlier, which I think is important just to throw in there, but also just trusting that when you're like following what feels right and you're doing your best to be the best that you can be, that the things that don't seem like they're helping you move in the right direction, or they don't seem like, you know, they might seem like roadblocks or obstacles or whatever, they are just as much a part of things coming together as like the things that are fun and easy and extremely like in line with what you thought they'd be. Like the things that don't always make sense or don't look pretty on the outside, they're necessary and they're a part of everything. I mean, it's a part of life, so it's a part of every process that we go through in life.
And we also touched on just as long as you're, like he said, living to the best that you can. But I'd just like to add to that, just what I said earlier was like, you know, when you're faced with a decision, any decision, like ask yourself, is this moving me towards where I want to be, towards the person I want to be, towards where I want to go? And if it is, then just trust that your little actions, your small decisions, every choice you make is moving you there. Even if it doesn't seem like it, even if it just seems really small, just trust that if you say yes to that question, if you say, yes, this is moving me where I want to be, then you are moving there.
Yeah.
And if it's a no, then don't do it. Or, you know, it might move you away from where you want to be.
Yeah. It's so true that everything, like so much of what happens in life is a result of our ability to say yes to the things that are like affirmative to where we want to go, and no to the things that aren't going to help us get there. And there are just a large number of micro decisions that add up to, you know, essentially determine whether we're where we want to be or somewhere far off of that. Yeah. Whether it comes to like health and the way that we eat, the job that we, like everything, it all, like the money, it all comes down to micro decisions. And like when we can say, and that's, I guess, brings up an important, I mean, or kind of circles back, but like establishing some vision or idea of what we do want, even if we aren't sure, even if we're not, we know that it may change a little bit, because once we have a vision of what we do want, then we can say, is this the micro decision, or once we have an idea of what we do want, then we can ask ourselves, is this decision that I'm about to make helping me move in that direction or moving me away? But until we have an idea of where we want to be, we don't have a basis to go off of when we're making decisions.
I think I just like to close this off by saying sometimes things might be a little difficult, sometimes things might be a little challenging, sometimes they might seem like you're off course and you're not where you're supposed to be and what you're doing is not what you're supposed to be doing. I've been there, Keith has been there, it's normal, but just trust in your heart and your soul that you are exactly where you're supposed to be in every moment, and you are moving towards whatever that goal is, whatever your course in life is, you are moving in that direction.
Amen. Signing off, and we'll show you the
beautiful sunset.
Yeah, we're at the, so right over these bushes behind us that you've probably been staring at. To the right over there is the beach, and over there is the intercoastal, but there's the sun. It's getting ready to set, and I am freezing. I apologize if the camera has been unsteady at all. I'm literally like shivering.
72 here in Florida, which is cold.
Spoiled.
Obviously.
All right. Thank you for watching.